All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I wanted to cover my top 5 weapon classes here in Modern Warfare 3. There's a lot of them that are going to be very predictable, but there's some that you guys may have not even had the chance to use that you 100% need to level up. This list is by far my best class setups and by far ones you guys should be trying out. Let's get into them. So I wanted to start my list with an honorable mention in the MW 6.8, which happens to be a marksman rifle. Now, some of you may be thinking you're absolutely crazy, but there is a conversion kit that you can add to this weapon that makes it actually insane. It's a 2-shot from basically every single range on the map, and the recoil pattern is basically just vertical, so very easy to control. Let's get into these attachments. So taking up one attachment slot here is going to be the conversion kit, which is going to turn it from semi-auto into full auto. It says it takes away base damage, but I'm going to be honest with you. You saw it when I featured the recoil pattern in the firing range. It's still a 2-shot kill. Therefore, you guys can tell it's not really taking away all too much damage. In the long run, it becomes much easier to use. So that's taking up your first attachment slot. For a rear grip here, you're going to want the RB Claw PSL grip, giving you fire aiming stability, gun kick control, and recoil control to help you with that bounce and keep your shots nice and centered. Over here to an ammunition type, I'm going to go with the Wrath Spire point rounds. That's going to give you bullet velocity and damage range. Yes, it's taking away bullet penetration, but this isn't like an LMG. You're not going to be firing through walls with this thing and targeting FMJ-like kills, but increasing the damage range is going to help your 2-shot potential there. For the underbarrel, we're going to go with the X10 Phantom 5 hand stop, giving you sprint to fire speed, aim down sight speed, vertical recoil control, and gun kick control. We are sacrificing some horizontal recoil control, but as you saw in the firing range, there's not much when it comes to horizontal recoil with this weapon. It's basically just vertical, so sacrificing a bit of horizontal there isn't really a big deal. And our last attachment is going to be the ELR Blackfire compensator, giving you a large increase to your recoil control. You can see on the stat bar there the large green increase. We are sacrificing a tiny bit of range, but it's nothing too crazy. The damage range is still very, very good. And honestly, at that point, I think the damage range falls off at like 60 meters. Chances are you're not going to be taking a gunfight at that range anyways, so taking away a little bit there doesn't end up being too big of a deal. So this is in my honorable mention slot just because I find that a lot of people probably aren't going to enjoy this one, but it has a super fast time to kill. So if you're someone that's looking for a little bit of a challenge and trying to level this thing up to get that conversion kit, I highly recommend you do so. Super fun choice of weaponry, and overall, definitely I would classify it outside the meta. So in the number 5 spot, we're going to have the Striker 9 SMG, not this normal Striker, but the Striker 9. The Striker 9 is the SMG that has the 9mm ammo, which is going to give it that faster fire rate. So it's not going to have very low recoil like the normal Striker does, but it is going to be much more effective at close range. And on top of that, this thing has virtually no recoil. I'm going to say virtually because once you start getting into the long range engagements, the recoil does start to show its ugly colors. But at medium range, this thing's an absolute monster, and it has great handling as well. So starting with a rear grip here, I have the Seiken ZX grip for fire aiming stability, gun kick control, and recoil control, with the only sacrifice being aiming idle sway. So we're not sacrificing any aim down sight speed, but we are getting some recoil control in return. For the magazine here, I'm going to call this an optional attachment. It's really going to depend on what map you're playing and how exactly your play style is. I like to have some extra bullets here just in case 4 or 5 enemies around that corner, and you're going to need all of those bullets as possible. So 40 round mag is going to be optional, but it is my personal preference. For the underbarrel, I have the FTAC SP angled grip, going to give you horizontal recoil control, aiming idle sway, gun kick control, and aim walking steadiness. So I found that this gun doesn't have much vertical recoil control or vertical kick, but it is going to be that horizontal that needs to be controlled. And you're going to see throughout the next couple of attachments that I target that horizontal recoil very, very hard. So our muzzle is going to be the Purifier muzzle brake, giving you even more horizontal recoil control along with fire aiming stability at a small sacrifice to our bullet velocity and range, but it's not a weapon you're going to be using at super far range anyways, so it's not really a bad trade-off at the end of the day. But we did end up increasing the damage range with this attachment here in the Striker Elite long barrel, giving you bullet velocity, aiming idle sway, recoil control, and then some damage range. So it doesn't increase the damage range all too much. I was mainly targeting it there for that recoil control. That increased damage range will make up for what was lost there with that muzzle. So Definitely deserving of number 5. I find that the SMGs are a little underpowered in this game, but this is definitely one of the better ones. So coming in at number 4, we have the Pro SMG of choice in the Rival 9, an extremely close range and extremely fast-paced choice of weaponry. You'll see when we get to that firing range how fast the aim down sight speed is. It's definitely not a weapon you're going to be taking very long range fights with, but for very aggressive players, this is by far the best SMG for you and by far the best just aggressive choice of weaponry in the game. The movement with this thing when you add the tactical pads is absolutely insane. So we're going to start our build here with a rear grip in the Rival Vice Assault Grip, giving you gun kick control, fire aiming stability, and recoil control. I'm going to find myself using a lot of rear grips like this one because we're not sacrificing aim down sight speed, but we are going to be getting recoil control. So in previous games like Modern Warfare 2, and I believe also in Modern Warfare 2019, when you ran attachments like this on the rear grip, it did take away aim down sight speed. This is a huge positive change, in my opinion, not being able to slow down your weapon drastically, but still having it easy to control. So for the magazine, much like the Striker 9, we are going with a larger magazine here with the 50 round mag. This shoots even faster than the Striker 9, so I did add some extra bullets, but again, I'm going to classify this as an optional attachment. If you want a very fast aim down sight speed, don't run a magazine here, chuck it on for like a laser sight or something. But with my playstyle and how aggressive I am up close and personal with people, I do need those extra bullets. For the underbarrel, I do go with the FTAC MSP 98 hand stop, giving you aim walking speed, vertical recoil control, gun kick control, and then some extra movement speed, sacrificing horizontal recoil control and aim walking steadiness, but that's only really going to affect you at longer ranges. And like I stated, it's not a weapon that you're going to be using at those longer ranges in the first place. For the muzzle, I have the Spiral V3.5 flash hider, giving you recoil control at virtually no sacrifice to your aim down sight speed. I believe when you look at the stat bar, it takes away like 7% or something like that. It's just, you're not really sacrificing all too much there, but still gaining quite a bit of recoil control. In return, in our last attachment, and probably the most important attachment of the build, is going to be the Rival C Clear Shot Barrel. This is the only attachment that increases your damage range, along with give you recoil control, bullet velocity, and aiming idle sway. So without this attachment, this weapon is a bit of a pea shooter, but once you add it, it definitely significantly improves the viability. So the barrel is a must-have when running the Rival 9. So like I said, it's the Pro SMG of choice. It's really fast-paced. If you're not a fast-paced player, you may not enjoy this one, but for my SMG fellows, you guys are going to have an absolute ball. Coming in at number 3, we have the MCW, aka the ACR. I have already covered this weapon on the channel, but I have made some minor adjustments from my build that I posted yesterday. So I've been playing around with it. I just unlocked gold for it, and I made some minor changes that I think made it even better. We have a very fast aim down sight speed, no recoil, and great mobility. Let's get into these. We're going to start our build here with a stock. This is one of the changes that I applied to the weapon, is the Iron Bark Tactical Stock, giving you attack spread increase. That's not what I'm targeting though. I'm targeting that aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed to help you with your close range engagements. Yes, it's not necessarily the best close range option, but in the event that you do get into a close range encounter, this is a very important attachment. For the rear grip, I have the RB Claw PSL grip for fire aiming stability, gun kick control, and recoil control. I think I've had this attachment. It has different names, but I've had it on every build. So obviously you can tell this is one of the best attachments in the game. For the underbarrel, another change here is going to be the Bruin Bastion angle grip, giving you hip fire and tack stance spread. Again, I'm not really targeting that. I don't really use tack stance, but we get aiming idle sway, fire aiming stability, and aim walking steadiness. So basically what that does, it's going to keep your weapon nice and steady while you're shooting and strafing side to side. So there's not going to be any side to side shake or side to side bounce while you're in fire. For the muzzle, I have the Shadow Strike Suppressor. So this attachment can be swapped out if you want even more recoil control or possibly an optic. You can take this one off. I just like to keep myself off of the minimap. It makes it much easier to streak up and get my kill streaks or possibly a nuke against the enemies. But again, if you want to take this attachment off and go maybe a larger magazine, possibly an optic, you can take this one off. And the last attachment is going to be a barrel in the 16.5 inch MCW Cyclone long barrel, giving you bullet velocity and range and a large increase to it at that, along with aiming idle sway and fire aiming stability. So probably the most important attachment of the build, simply because this weapon, when it comes to damage range, yes, it has no recoil, but it does become quite a pea shooter without this attachment, but it makes it a very consistent 5-shot kill. I believe it's 5 shots, maybe even 4 shots if you hit a headshot somewhere in there, but it is going to make the weapon much more consistent. So at number 2, I have the Bass B, a weapon I did not really give much of a chance of in the beta because I believe it had like a hit registration bug with the thing. I knew it was going to be good though. It has a very high damage profile along with very low recoil. Not the fastest moving weapon in the game, but the high damage in itself along with the great versatility. I knew it was going to be an absolute banger weapon, and it's much deserving of the number 2 spot here. We're starting this one off with an optic in the MK3 reflector, aka the ELO sight. This is a preference. If you have a different optic you enjoy using, you can definitely use that one. The MK3 reflector just tends to feel very, very good on this particular weapon. Heading down here to a rear grip, I have the STT88 grip. Fire aiming stability, gun kick control, and recoil control. I'm starting to sound like a broken record. I run this on basically every single build that I have. For the underbarrel, I have the FTAC SP10 angled grip, giving you a large increase to the horizontal recoil control, aiming idle stability, gun kick control, and aim walking steadiness. Another weapon that I found that there's not really too much vertical recoil control, but it's much more of that horizontal recoil control that you need to end up controlling there. It's going to make it shoot a much straighter line. I'm not going to say it has no recoil, but it's very, very easy to use after you add the particular attachments I'm giving you. For the muzzle, I have the STER45 Sky Fury compensator. You can see the large increase to the recoil control there. After everything's said and done, you can see the green bar in the recoil control. We're sacrificing quite a bit of aim down sight speed, but it's nothing too crazy because it's not the fastest paced weapon in the first place. Our last attachment is going to be the Wyvern's Respite long barrel. It's just the long barrel. And my game bugged out. Be right back. All right, we back. So the long barrel here, it's a freaking tongue twister of a name, gives you aim walking steadiness, bullet velocity and damage range, aim walking movement speed, and just base movement speed. So I'm using this attachment strictly for the bullet velocity and damage range increase because it does have a pretty lackluster damage range overall until you end up adding this attachment. It makes it a much more reliable kill. So make sure you guys add this on. It's going to slow it down a little bit as far as aggression goes, but I've said it before, it's not the most aggressive choice of weaponry. So don't try to make it aggressive. Use it as like a slow paced assault rifle and you're going to find a ton of success. And in the number 1 spot, we have the Holger 556. Some of you may not even know that this thing is absolutely busted. It is broken, actually. I don't like to throw around the word overpowered a lot, but it's overpowered, 100% going to get a nerf. So you guys need to get your camos unlocked for this one before they end up doing so. The pros have already banned this thing in competitive play, so that should speak volumes. We're not even 3 days into the game and weapons already banned. So make sure you guys unlock this thing, level it up, get your camos, and use this setup. It's a blast. Starting our build off here with an optic in the Slimline Pro. Preference attachment here. If you like the iron sights, feel free to run it. If you like a different optic, you can also run that. The Slimline Pro is just my reflex sight of choice there. For the stock, you're going to want the RB Adel assault stock, giving you recoil control and gun kick control. Small sacrifice to our aim down sight speed, but nothing too crazy overall. That recoil control is going to help you significantly in the longer ranges. For the rear grip, I have the Intruder grip. This is the one time I'm not running that recoil attachment because I wanted to get my aim down sight speed up a bit to make up for what was lost with that stock there, along with some other attachments further down the build. We're getting a large increase to both our sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. Over here to a muzzle, I have the Colossus suppressor, giving you recoil control, and it keeps you off of that mini map so you can streak much easier. This is another attachment that took away aim down sight speed, which is exactly why I did decide to use that rear grip there. And then our last attachment is going to be a barrel in the Trios 6 match, giving you a large increase to both the bullet velocity and damage range, recoil control, and gun kick control. I'm going to call this the most important attachment of the build. You gain so much here at a sacrifice to some of your movement, of course, but at the same time, that recoil control and bullet velocity / damage range, all of that much outweighs the cons here. So that damage range increase is going to make this weapon an absolute tank on the map. I believe this thing actually has a 2-shot headshot potential. If you hit 2 headshots in a row, I do believe you can end up killing an enemy in 2 shots, but it's a pretty reliable 3 to 4 shot kill, depending on how you're aiming. Absolutely busted when you add this attachment here, and by far the most overpowered weapon in the game. So I was looking for a screen to close out this video on, and apparently I'm in the top 0%. So you can tell I've kind of been no-lifing the game a little bit. So It is what it is. I'm having a lot of fun. I want you guys to go down in the comment section and let me know exactly what your favorite weapon is in this game. And let me know if you've been enjoying Modern Warfare 3. My only complaint has to be some of the lackluster maps. I didn't like them back in like 2010 or whatever the heck Modern Warfare 2 came out. And I don't like them now. I'm not surprised, but there's still a lot of good maps in this game that I absolutely adore. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit like and subscribe as always. I'll see you guys in the next video.